How social media, criminal background checks, and unemployment can impact your disability insurance claim. Hey, I'm Nancy Cavey. Welcome to this week's episode of Winning Isn't Easy. I'm a national ERISA and individual disability attorney, and I see these issues come up all the time in disability claims and during the course of a disability claim. And that's what we're going to talk about today. But before we get started, I have to give you a legal disclaimer. This podcast is not legal advice. The Florida Bar Association says I have to say it, but nothing prevents me from giving you an easy to understand overview of the disability insurance world, the games that disability carriers play, and what you need to know to get the disability benefits you deserve. So off we go. Making the decision to reduce your hours and apply for residual disability benefits or to stop working altogether and apply for total disability benefits can be difficult. Now, you may think that once your doctors made the diagnosis of a medical condition that's going to prevent you from working, or your employer tells you you're having trouble and you should apply for disability benefits, it's all going to be smooth sailing. You may even think that once you've submitted your insurance application to the disability carrier or plan, or even get benefits, that this is going to be a piece of cake. It isn't. When you apply for your disability insurance benefits, your initial application is going to be reviewed by the disability carrier, and they're going to be looking at it from three perspectives. The first is, what are the terms of your disability policy or plan? Two, are your medical records sufficiently complete to establish that you're disabled? And disabled, as that term is defined by your policy or plan. And what's your occupation in terms of your policy or plan? In other words, can you do the material and substantial duties of your occupation, or is there something else that might be interfering with your ability to do those occupational duties? Now, in this multi-part series, I'm going to be concentrating on the occupational evaluation. I want you to know the factors that the disability carrier plan is likely to consider in deciding whether or not they're going to pay your benefits. So when you apply for your own occupation disability insurance benefits, you're going to be asked a number of questions. What were your specific occupational duties just prior to the onset of disability? What were each of the specific physical and or mental requirements associated with each duty? How long did you perform each of these duties in the course of an average day or a week? How does a disability carrier verify your occupational duties? What's the date of your onset of disability, and how does that apply to your occupational description? And we talked about the status of your license.
Are you a professional with questions about your individual disability policy? You need the Disability Insurance Claim Survival Guide for Professionals. This book gives you a comprehensive understanding of your disability policy, with tips and to-dos regarding your disability application that will assist you in submitting a winning disability application. This is one you won't want to miss. For the next 24 hours, we are giving away free copies of the Disability Insurance Claim Survival Guide for Professionals. Order yours today at disabilityclaimsforprofessionals.com.
Welcome back to Winning Isn't Easy. Well, what other searches is a disability insurance carrier or plan going to do? They are going, if you're a professional, to do a license check. Why are they going to do that? They want to make sure that you still have a license. And if you don't have a license, they sure as heck want to know why you don't have a license. Now, many disability policies or plans say that just because you lose your license doesn't mean that you're entitled to your disability benefits. But if you're having issues with malpractice or even criminal or civil issues, and ultimately you lose that license, they're going to try to argue that your disability claim is based on the loss of your license, not on any type of disabling medical condition. So we've got to be careful about that. If you're having any professional problems where your license is in question, in jeopardy, you need to be communicating with your disability insurance attorney. And of course, you do have one, right? Because that's going to have an impact. Now, it also can have an impact in another way. I unfortunately have a client who has become involved in some Medicare scams inadvertently during a residual disability claim. And he can potentially can not only lose his license, but he potentially can end up in jail. Uh, Fortunately for him, in his disability policy, there is no provision that says if you're in jail, you lose your benefits. But you can see that the disability carrier is going to be doing this ongoing check of your criminal records, um, your status of your license. Now, they're also potentially, by the way, going to be doing a civil check. Why is that? There's this infamous case that I've spoken about before, where the attorney in New York claims that he's disabled as a result of psychiatric conditions, says he can't work, but the disability carrier does a PACER search, and a PACER search is a set of federal records that are court records, and you can track somebody by their name. And they plugged in his name, and up came 12 cases that he'd been involved in and had been actively involved in and had gotten paid. He lied ultimately on his forms to the disability carrier. The carrier said, "You're not disabled," denied his benefits, and off they go to federal court. And the judge was not particularly pleased with this attorney and ruled in favor of the disability insurance company. Now, this case, for example, could end up in a fraud prosecution and could end up in him losing his law license. So there are all sorts of complications that can flow from this bad behavior. One of the other searches that disability carriers might do is to see if you're collecting unemployment compensation benefits. Why is that an issue? Well, it's an issue because when you apply for unemployment compensation benefits, you are claiming that you are disabled. That you're not disabled and that you're able to work. That's clearly inconsistent with filing a disability insurance claim and saying that you're disabled and unable to work. And of course, how would they know that? Well, if they don't find it out by doing a search, they can also find it out by the forms that they send you to fill out, because you have these monthly forms that you fill out, and it asks questions about your occupation. Whether you're working, and if so, if you're working, where you're working, how much you're earning, but it also asks about other sources of income, Social Security, benefits that you might be receiving as a result of a settlement, ask questions about whether you're getting pension benefits, and lo and behold, there's a question about unemployment compensation benefits. When you sign those forms, you are attesting that those forms are accurate and true. And if you're lying about it, that's going to come back and bite you in the butt, and maybe bite you when you end up in a lawsuit with the state insurance commissioner's division of fraud, or you're being challenged in regard to your law license or your medical license or any other license. So your life is an open book when you apply for your disability insurance benefits. They will do a media search. They will do a search of professional organizations. They will do a criminal search. They will do a civil search. And of course, they're going to do all those social media searches that I talked about. Expect it and govern yourself accordingly. Quite frankly, you should stop posting to any of your social media sites. Stop posting to any professional organizations that you're a member of, and basically keep it down low and under the radar. Got it? I hope that you've enjoyed this week's episode of Winning Isn't Easy. If you've enjoyed this episode, consider liking our page, leaving a review, or sharing it with your friends and family. Also, consider subscribing to this podcast. That way, you're going to be notified every time a new episode comes out. I hope you tune in to next week's episode of Winning Isn't Easy. Talk to you then. Thanks.